Welcome, welcome, welcome. Now, this is my very first official video recorded for YouTube. Now, if this is your first time coming across any of my videos, I just want to say I'm very excited and I'm very glad you're here. Now, about 6 months ago, I started to share information on my Instagram page, Oludola. My name is Oludolapo. I'm a licensed social worker and I'm currently training as a clinical mental health therapist. And I just, have this desire to help other people who are struggling with any issues related to the mind, issues related to the thinking, issues related to behavior as well. I'm also a child of God, and a lot of things that I do or how I help other people is also influenced by these different aspects of my life. I believe so much in the power of the Holy Spirit. I believe so much in the Word of God. I believe so much in a lot of the information, the evidence based strategies that are utilized to help people overcome the barriers that they encounter in life, just helping them to be able to achieve their full potential. And now that's why I've decided that the theme for my YouTube channel is going to be called achieving your full potential. Now, if you're somebody who has also always struggled in one area or the other relating to your mind, either because of past experiences that you've had or whatever, I just want to say that hopefully you're able to get a thing or two. Now, even if this video is not going to be helpful to you, please share it with another person and even subscribe as well. If you think the video has been helpful, please do not forget to subscribe. Now, the conversation today is going to be about forgiveness. Forgiveness, forgiveness, forgiveness. Unforgiveness is the big, big, big thing that I've noticed that a lot of us dealing with, and a lot of us are struggling with. I've met a lot of people who have encountered a lot of challenges in their lifetime, a lot of people who have been hurt by other people. But today I wanted to focus on unforgiveness, unforgiveness relating to our parents. So, are you somebody that has found yourself dealing with or struggling with forgiving your parents, either because of something that they did or something that they didn't do during your childhood or even your adulthood? In the work that I do, I've met a lot of clients who they're adults now, but they're still struggling with a lot of things that happened during their childhood. I've met a lot of clients who struggle with a lot of things um, that happened when they were teenagers, when they were before even they were 10 years old. And they're struggling with it now, they're in their 40s. And I've just realized that a lot of times when we deal with unforgiveness, it can really, really impact or it can even change the trajectory of our life and even the things that we're able to go ahead and be able to achieve in life. Now, I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm not here to tell you that what happened to you or what your parents did or did not do. I'm not here to say if it was right or wrong. No, that's not what I'm here to do. I'm just here to tell you some things that I've learned. And if this is something that you're dealing with, if this is something an area you're struggling with, I'm here to let you know how you can possibly overcome this. I'm here to help you and teach you how you can possibly overcome this if you are trying to move past some of the experiences that you had during your childhood. Now, even as a Christian, I've met a lot of Christians who are dealing with unforgiveness relating to their parents. So also realized that being a child of God, being a Christian, does not exempt us from feeling pain, from feeling the hurt that comes with things that our parents did to us, either growing up, I don't know, there are a lot of things I've heard how parents neglected their children, how parents were struggling with substance use and just were not available to support their children growing up. I've heard of parents who just did not even know how to help their child to be able to achieve their own goals. And now the child is dealing with the fact that because the parent didn't do what they were supposed to do, um, when they were growing up, and that's why they're not able to become a successful person now in life. I hope I'm making sense. Hope I'm making sense. I'm really trying to explain, so I hope I'm really making sense. If you're someone who is struggling with forgiving your parents, I just want to share a few things with you that I think would help, and I hope it does. Now, when I meet clients who are struggling with childhood trauma, something that I found is that it takes a lot of time to get past these experiences. It really takes a lot of time. And I don't blame anybody, because sometimes during your childhood, our emotions are still very fragile. We are very young. Our emotions are tender. Our minds are not able to really understand why some of the things that we go through happen. So, a child who's been neglected, a child whose parents um, is struggling with substance use, and because of that, they're not able to, pay the children's school fees or provide for the children's needs. The child is really trying to understand, why is my parent choosing drugs over taking care of me? They're not able to wrap their brains around the fact that this is happening. And a lot of children too now compare themselves with what their peers experience in their own families, and they're like, how come my friend can be able to be have the opportunity to do this and do that, but I'm not be able to do it? But this is where I think we need to now begin to ask ourselves questions. Because I've met a lot of people who are still kind of holding on to the pain and the hurt that they've encountered during their childhood from their parents. It gets to the point where they're now trying to get past those experiences, or even get past the pain. Maybe just the pain, the feelings, the emotions that are now there as a result. And one of the questions I always ask clients is, so right now, have you been able to process some of the feelings and the thoughts and the pain that you're encountering? Because now this is making you feel sad, or even just been a burden to you for years, for over 20 years. So what have you done to be able to deal with the pain? Have you been able to process it? So maybe even asking questions that, why did this happen? Or what was my parent going through during the time that they were raising me? Were they having struggles? What might have influenced their behavior? Did my parent even go through this during their own childhood? And maybe this is why they didn't know better on how to train me, or maybe this is why they didn't know how to make better decisions. So, have you been able to process the pain? Have you been able to process the feelings? Because a lot of times when we bottle things up, when we bottle up those thoughts, that's where the problem lies, is because you've not had the opportunity to be able to say, okay, I'm really struggling with this. It's eating me up on the inside. But I've not been able to even ask questions. I've not been able to ask somebody else. Have they been able to navigate this situation? If they encountered it, I've not been able to ask God to help me to heal. Then sometimes that's where the struggle is. So if you're someone who has decided that I've held on to the pain from not being able to, you know, forgive my parents for what I went through as a child, please ask the questions. Ask the questions. I know in therapy, when I'm in the clinical setting, the first thing I always tell clients, of course, I empathize with the clients. I empathize with their feelings, because now a lot of times when clients have decided to seek therapy and they decide to open up, of course, in that moment, it takes a lot. I always tell clients, it takes a lot to be able to speak in front of somebody and share your problems. It takes a lot to be able to open up with the things you're struggling with. It's not an easy thing to do. Even as a therapist, I know this for a fact. It's not an easy thing to do, to get up from your house and say, I want to go speak to somebody about my problems. It's not easy at all. So the fact that you're here now, trying to navigate this and trying to get to a place of probably finding a solution to what's going on. I always empathize with clients. I always, just commend them for making that decision. But now let's ask the question. So have you been able to say, okay, was out, what was my parents struggling with? Even now, as I'm growing up too as an individual, have you been able to ask yourself the question that if I was my parents' age when, at the age that they were when they were training me, would I have made better decisions with the way I'm living my life right now? Because sometimes I realize that that's where the struggle is too, is a lot of children, a lot of children who tend to hold on to a lot of pain from their childhood. When you ask yourself the questions now that if I have a child myself, am I able to make better decisions? We realize that maybe not, because we're still even struggling in some of those areas of unforgiveness. Now, remember, I'm not here to tell you to either forgive or not forgive. I want you to make the decision for yourself. I want you to make that decision for yourself. But whatever it is you're trying to achieve, let's try to figure out what's the barrier. Is unforgiveness the barrier? Or is the pain the barrier? Or is the hurt the barrier? Or is even understanding why this happened, is that the barrier? I know there's some people that have not been so that are not so privileged to even get the opportunity to sit with their parents and talk it through and say, "Oh, why did you do this? Why did this happen this way?" And that's fine. Sometimes we don't have the opportunity to do that, or maybe it's just not the right timing. Because timing is very important too in addressing issues. But this is what I would say. Sometimes, even if you don't have the opportunity to speak to that parent, maybe speak to another person that you trust about your feelings, because bottling it up is not healthy. Now, once you've been able to process the feelings, remember the first thing is to process it. And by processing it, you're asking questions. You're trying to figure out what might have happened, what might have caused this, what are the circumstances my parents also were dealing with during the time they were trying to raise me. And even give grace, because even now at this age, if I was to be a mother to somebody else, would I make better decisions for my child? Now, number two, the second thing I want you to consider, if you think you're trying to get past this, of course, you're never going to forget some of your experiences. But if you're trying to move on and heal and become a better person too, and a better parent to another person in the future, another thing you need to ask yourself is this unforgiveness that I'm dealing with, or even not being able to get past the pain, you suffered for it growing up as a child. Are you still suffering it, or suffering for those circumstances now as an adult? And is this something you want to do? So do you want to have suffered during your childhood 20 years ago and then continue to suffer 20 years later? Is this something you want to do, or do you see yourself 5 years from now still suffering from it? And what do you want? How do you want to navigate that? So remember, you making the decision, you decided, what do I want to do with the feelings? What do I want to do with some of the um, traumas? What do I want to do with some of the experiences I had as a child that is now eating me up on the inside, even as an adult? And another thing, number three, that I would say is, if your parent was to pass away, if your parent was to pass away, maybe 5 years from now, 10 years from now, would you regret not having the opportunity to get past some of these experiences, or even forgive? One thing I always tell clients in the clinical setting is, a lot of times I find that a lot of people struggle with unforgiveness because they feel as though you're trying to excuse, or you're trying to, that is for the other person, it's for the parent. They're like, what, for everything that this person did to me, why should I forgive them? Why? How can I forgive them? Literally, some of the clients ask me, Dola, how can I forgive somebody? Are you telling me? And I could just see the anger. I could just see it. They're like, Dola, are you trying to tell me to forgive my mother or my father who did this to me. Are you trying, like, how do I forgive a person like that? And I could feel it. I could feel it. I could feel it. I could feel the pain. But then, after the person has decided to let it all out and process their feelings, I didn't ask them. I used to will in. Remember, maybe don't focus on the fact that you're forgiving your parent. Maybe focus on what your parent did to you years ago, how it's affecting your life. So something that it was not your fault, you suffered for it 20 years ago, and you're still suffering for it now. And how do you want to move forward? How do you want to take charge? How do you want to take the power back? How do you want to take charge of your life? You have to make that decision, because sometimes even the parents might be somewhere living their best life and you're holding on to the pain. You're choosing to do things that are not helpful, that are not healthy, because you're trying to maybe rebel against your parent. Now, remember, forgiving someone who hurt you, forgiving someone who disappointed you is not the easiest thing to do. I've heard a lot of just stories that are very painful, but I'm here to advocate for you. This video is about advocating for you. It's about advocating for you and just encouraging you to get the opportunity to get past those experiences, not forgetting them, but learning from those experiences and see how you can get past the difficulties or the barriers that is still eating you up for achieving your own potential, from deciding. Because I've also met some people who, because of what they went through, they decided they're not going to have children. They're like, you know what? If I had to go through this as a child, I don't want to have my own children, because I don't want to put another child through this. Because now they don't trust that they can be a good parent because of what they went through. And then it becomes a limitation now for you because of your past experiences. So making that decision. Now, this video, I don't think this is the end of the video, because talking about this is really something that I'm very passionate about, because I've seen a lot of clients in their adulthood suffer from something that they went through or experienced in their childhood. Remember, I'm here to advocate for you. If you're struggling with unforgiveness, I'm not here to say do this or do that, but I'm here to say maybe the first step is not thinking about the other person who hurt you. Maybe first think about you and how this is affecting you. And maybe this can help you to be able to then get to a place of your healing. Now, I hope this has been helpful. I'll see you in the next video. Take care now.